Shalom. I'm Montavious, and today we're going to discuss 3 different contradictory scriptures that we found within the scripture and present them to you. And if you stay all the way to the end, I'm going to give you a bonus. So, I often hear how the NIV and newer versions often take away from the scripture. Some say that that's the reason why they lean more onto the KJV, or because the KJV is a much older, better, more complete version of the Masoretic text. But when comparing it to the Septuagint or the Dead Sea Scrolls, is a much younger text. I get it. One is written in Hebrew and the other one is written in Greek. But we must always look at what's being said rather than who's saying it. So, let's begin with Ecclesiastes. Chapter 1. In verse 17, it says, "And I gave my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this is also vexation." Now, looking at that just at face value, like, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. He said I gave my heart to know wisdom, madness, and folly, and he perceived that that's vexation. But does that make complete sense? When the Father definitely says that we shouldn't go for these different things. Just studying the law, we know that we should stay away from folly and craziness. It doesn't make sense. Why would he say he went towards these things? Unless he was just trying stuff out. If this was when Solomon was going through his time of being away from the Father, okay. And now he's back in his right mind, then okay. But listen to what the Septuagint says. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 in verse 17, it says, "And my heart knew much wisdom and knowledge, parables and understanding. I perceive that this also is waywardness of Ruach, or spirit." So, you can see here, he's saying that even with having all this knowledge, it is still the same as, it still vexed him. He still had a wayward spirit. It's like it doesn't matter. Why? In context of all the other scripture within there, he's saying all these different things, whether he was wise and had much or foolish and had little. It doesn't matter because they're all going to the same place. Somebody in the next in line is going to take his place and enjoy it. So, that's one. Number one, the first thing that I noticed, I'm like, why does he even say that in the KJV, saying that he gave his heart to know madness and folly, as if it's a good thing, as if it's an okay thing? That's a difference. So I noticed something that was in Genesis chapter 2 that was very strange. It threw me off. And it was about the Shabbat. In verse 2, it reads, "And on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made." Did you see it? Like, I look up the word seventh in that scripture, and it was Sheb-eh-eh, which definitely means 7th, and also 4th or 7th year. But with that being said, he not only rested on the 7th day, but he ended his work on the 7th day. If you think about it in a case where there is Good Friday discounts on everything, if they say that the sale ends on Friday, when does the sale end? Does that mean that it ends on the 7th day or on Saturday? No, it means that it ended on that day. So, in context, it says that Elohim worked all the way up into the 7th day, into the 7th day, and rested on the 7th day, which is a complete contradiction with what we know happened. So why does the King James Version say he worked through to the 7th day and then rested on that same day? But let's look at what the Septuagint says about it. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 2. And Elohim finished on the 6th day his works which he made. And he ceased on the seventh day from all his works which he had made. Wow. That's a big difference. One says that he finished on the seventh day. I'm sure that a lot of Masoretic texts say that he finished on the seventh day. But here we have in the Septuagint that he finished on the sixth day. And that's obvious. We all know that. But it's seemingly throughout our time that we have thought, oh, that just has to mean that he ended, that he finished, everything was completed there. But we know, even with Mashiach, that when he said it is finished, he didn't mean that the next day everything was over. He meant right then it was finished. So if the KJV says that he finished his work on the seventh day, then he worked on the seventh day. It didn't say before the seventh day. It said he finished his work on the seventh day. All right, so let's go ahead and go to our next one, where we're going to go back to Ecclesiastes, another contradiction that I found. So, in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 12 through 13, it reads, "Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear Elohim, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before Elohim." Did you hear it? It's there. But you have to make sure that you're paying attention, because seemingly two different words were being used. Sinner and wicked. Is a sinner and a wicked person different? A sinner, someone who practices sin, is wicked. So, when you go back to verse 12, and it says, "Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged," and then you go to verse 13, and it says, "But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days." That's a contradiction. First it says that his days are prolonged, and now it's saying his days shall not be prolonged. Like, that doesn't sound sound. Like, how can you go from one saying, oh, his days are going to be long, even though he's evil, when we know that even like those who break the commandments about loving your mother and father or honoring your mother and father, that your days may be prolonged. Like, we know that your years are cut off because of it. Yet, in those two verses, it reads, "A sinner days are prolonged, a wicked days are not prolonged." And this is how it reads in the Septuagint. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 12 through 13. "He that has sinned has done evil from that time, and long from beforehand. Nevertheless, I know that it is well with them that fear Elohim, that they may fear before him. But it shall not be well with the ungodly, and he shall not prolong his days, which are as a shadow, for as much as he fears not before Elohim." Wow. Now, that makes sense. Like, that makes complete sense to me. Like, that sounds like an actual response about the evils of the wicked. What is their reward? What is the reward of those who are diligently seeking the Most High? But it doesn't make sense whenever they say that sinners' days are going to be prolonged and the wicked days are going to be shortened, or is not going to be prolonged. All right, and as promised, the bonus. And this is straight out of the book of Proverbs. It's about that wife. So in the book of Proverbs 18 and 22, it talks about a man who finds a wife. According to the scripture, let me know what he finds when he finds a wife in the comment box below. This is what it reads in verse 22. "Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Most High." I know, and that's a beautiful scripture. Why would somebody want to mess it up, take away, or put any more in there? Because we know that's against the commandments. But Is that all that's being said? I think we should look towards the Septuagint and see if it agrees. Proverbs 18:22. He that has found a good wife has found favors, and has received gladness from Elohim. He that puts away a good wife puts away a good thing, and he that keeps an adulteress is foolish and ungodly. Wow. Did you see it? Write down what you've seen in the comment box. I'm going to tell you what I see whenever I look at these two holding up together. It not only says that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and favor. It says that when a man finds a good wife, that means that there is also a bad wife. It continues to also say when a man puts away a good wife, he puts away a good thing. And it goes even further to say that if a man stays with an adulterous woman, that he is not only foolish, but he's ungodly. That is a mouthful, and it speaks in volumes. Like, I think that there are a lot of different things that the KJV takes out and also that they put in. And is definitely not beneficial to our salvation and to our beliefs to continue on reading the KJV. So let me know if this video is beneficial to you or not down in the comment box. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, if you would like to know when Job was alive via the scripture, comment down below. Let me know. I got the video coming up. Shalom.